Hi, can you hear me?
Hey Larry, this is Kellyanne. Yeah, we can hear you. How are you?
Great. Is Rachel here, or is this
It's her assistant.
okay?
Yeah.
Uh, is there a hashtag that you guys typically use for any of your stuff? Is it just Rachel Pedersen?
Peterson. Um, yeah, SMU crew we use sometimes for this community, but
Okay, that's
yeah.
good.
So I sent out an email with your bio to everyone, but if you want to introduce yourself a little bit, go ahead.
Oh, are we live now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let me just close out of this crap and just make sure that it's working. Um, sorry. Um, Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen here. Hello, everyone. My name is Larry Kim. I didn't realize we were live, and I'm going to share my screen, and let's jump right in. So on the agenda today, can everyone see my screen here?
Yep.
Yep, awesome. Talking about a very important topic that's in social media today. It's Facebook Messenger marketing, and if you're new to it, it's a big deal because Facebook. There was a big leak last week that said that Facebook is integrating like Instagram messaging with WhatsApp messaging with Messenger. Uh, Messenger messaging. So, there's going to be this thing that you can connect with, like 2-3 billion people, you know, through chatbots. And so, hope we to dive in a little bit about what all that means. On the agenda today, we're talking mostly about unicorns, but also a little bit about just kidding, a little bit about messenger marketing. Specifically, I was going to be sharing, how to do this stuff and how to be successful at it. In terms of, before getting all the detailed hacks of messenger marketing, I wanted to introduce myself briefly. My name is Larry Kim. I'm the founder of a company called WordStream that was acquired last year by USA Today. USA Today, it's like a newspaper company for $150 million. It was great outcome because I actually spent a lot of time blogging about how to grow your business and how to be successful at doing marketing. And so I think it would have been pretty embarrassing if the company didn't have a good outcome. In terms of the last year or so, I've been working on creating a Facebook Messenger marketing platform called Mobile Monkey, and hope we can talk a little bit about that today. So enough about me. Let's talk about Facebook Messenger marketing and why should you care. Specifically, I think there's a couple of reasons. Number one, that there's more daily active users on messaging platforms than on social media. So that's pretty crazy. But yet, strangely, less than 1% of businesses are actually building experiences and engaging with customers on those messaging platforms that people are using. I think that's crazy. In terms of Messenger, daily active users, it's around 1.3 billion users. That's a lot of people. These are the same people that you're trying to reach through the news feed. It's just that or same people you're trying to reach through ads. Is just that it's a lot cheaper, more efficient to do this using Messenger. And this number is going to get much bigger when they integrate WhatsApp and Instagram messaging with Messenger messaging, which is expected to happen early next year. The engagement rates on messaging is very, very high. If you think about how you communicate with your customers through either the traditional email marketing, it's typically averages 5 to 10% open rates. Facebook newsfeed, it's typically, it's not great. It's not what it was like 10 years ago, put it that way. But Messenger, on the other hand, you can generate these crazy outcomes like 70-80% open rates usually within the first hour or so. So it's a really high engagement channel. I think the question, I think generally people agree with most of what I'm talking about here. The question is how do marketers how are they supposed to do this chatbot messenger stuff? Because if you look in Business Manager, there's actually no features or function, for doing chat blasts to all your to your messenger contacts. There's nothing in Facebook for doing that. It's just an API, and so, you know. When I think of messaging, I kind of think of it as sort of like a better email, but also a better landing page. So what I mean by this is it's kind of like email because you can do a push notification. You can send something to a user. Like you don't have to wait for them to visit your website. But chat marketing is also kind of like a website too, because once you send them a message, it's not just a static email. It's it's kind of like a dynamic, interactive experience, like signing up for a webinar or doing a survey. Those are types of things that you would typically do on a website or a landing page. So it kind of combines those two concepts into one push notification. And I think this is an extremely valuable area to be focusing on in terms of messaging. If you think about where the leverage is, it's like crazy amount of benefits for starting early, as you all know. The way that messaging used to work is that you would people would message your page, and when people message your page, that content would end up in the page inbox, and that was sort of like a dumping ground for inquiries that nobody ever would respond to. It was annoying because you had to manually respond to people, so it just wasn't scalable. And so what's happened more recently in the last 2 years, Facebook has released an API to allow users to kind of write software to connect to that page inbox and automatically respond to those messages at scale. Unfortunately, this is pretty complicated for most marketers who don't know how to do programming. And so what most marketers do is they use like a chatbot marketing tool like Mobile Monkey that can kind of import your Facebook inbox, show you every one of your contacts, and then kind of just like MailChimp, we can do chat blasting to your list or to different segments of your list, like people who live in a certain area or people who have certain interests, etc. And so the way that this typically works is you would use a tool like Mobile Monkey, which is a free product. You could create some content to send to your users. That's just like it's kind of like how an email marketing program has a way to compose visual emails. So you're just constructing the message. We call them dialogues. Like you're constructing the dialogues that we're sending to the subscribers. It could be like images or galleries or lists or videos or attachments or galleries, etc. You create that content. You then just choose an audience to send it to. You can then schedule it or blast right away, and it's that simple. I think it's really cool because the messages that you're sending, it's not just email. These are push notifications through Messenger, which are extremely engaging because you can just have people sign up for things or answer questions, that kind of stuff, through the chat navigation, these little buttons, rather than just sending them off to some web page to do that stuff, which is less mobile friendly. One thing that I use chat blasting for a lot, which I think is something everyone should be doing, is whenever I have a new blog post, I send out the chat blast to my Messenger contact list. And I think one of the cool things is that Neil Patel is like one of the world's most famous marketers. He's actually on my list. Like, I don't know how he got on that list. He must have subscribed to it. Basically, whenever I get a new blog post, I just send it to my subscriber list. Here's a new blog post. And I know he reads my stuff because I can see his little avatar kind of moves down to the bottom of the page. So that's kind of just shows you the power of chat marketing. Somebody might want to be wondering, like, is this spammy, or is this kind of like, is this, how does this compare to email, basically? And basically, if you look at the data, like, remember I was saying I send out chat blasts for my new blog posts. I still send out emails for my new blog posts. This is the same content. It's like the same blog post. It's just I'm sending it through email and I'm sending it through a chat. What you can see is that the chat open rates are like typically 50-60% is pretty typical, whereas MailChimp, my emails, it's 10 to 20% is more common. The click rates, so what percentage of people then click on the content, it's usually around 20% in chat, whereas it's usually around 1% in email. So we're talking, it's like 60 to 100 times more engagement, depending on how good or bad your starting point is. But we're definitely talking like 1 or 2 orders of magnitudes here. So definitely worth your time to take a look. I think the reason why messaging is so much more engaging than stupid email is because it's kind of taking into consideration privacy. So like in email, the problem is that like a bunch of spammers are just buying these lists of names and just spamming the heck out of people. And you can just go to a company like ZoomInfo and buy a list of like, I don't know, mommies with 2 kids who live in the suburbs. Like you can buy these lists and you can just blast them, and they just send out so much crap, and it's just it's not a very dynamic or interactive experience. Messaging, on the other hand, it requires that people kind of sign up and opt in, and requires that you honor the unsubscribes, and then it delivers a much more interactive experience. And so I think these are all reasons why the open rates and the click rates are like 10 to 100 times better than what you typically see in email. So just stop right there. I'm not sure what the format is here. Are there any questions from the audience before I go on about sort of the intro to chat marketing, what we're talking about today? Anyone at all? Is this even a live interactive session? Like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so there is down at the bottom, you'll see a little like chat button. Do you see that?
Yeah, I see. Okay.
Yeah, so there's one
cool.
question in there.
Jenny asked a really great question, like what's the average age distribution as the of Messenger users, I would say that it's the same people more or less, because like Messenger just spun out of Facebook, right? You used to have your Facebook inbox, and they just kind of turned that into its separate app, So I think it's more or less the same people who use Facebook every day, very similar demographics. So it skews a little bit older, but it's by and large the same people that you're trying to reach using the news feed or your Facebook ads. In terms of the future of Messenger, though, is that there was this announcement last week that said that they're going to integrate the messaging components of WhatsApp, Instagram, and Messenger, and do this by next year. So it's very exciting, because that WhatsApp is very popular in kind of outside of the USA and Canada, and outside of the UK, and outside of sort of Western nations. Like it's extremely popular in India and South America and Africa, etc. So it's like adds a lot of the geographic diversity to the people that you can reach. And I think Instagram also is extremely popular with people under 30, so I'm not talking just little kids. I'm talking like people with major purchasing power, that use that platform. And so I think that's extremely valuable feature here. I'm going to just move on here to the chapter 2 here, and basically talk a little bit about some of the building blocks and structure, and how to get started building these messenger dialogues and interfaces. So what you're looking at here on the left here, it's a chat bot it's doing lead generation. So it's trying to get people to sign up for something. So like, what's your phone number? What's an email? What's et cetera, et cetera. So it's not a human being that's typing the answers. It's a robot. So the question is, how do you build this experience for your Facebook fans? And basically, as I was saying earlier, most people just use a chatbot builder like Mobile Monkey, and basically there's 2 types of content that you can send in the dialogues that you're sending to your to your users, like the content that you're sending. There's static content, and then there's dynamic content. So static content, this is very easy. It's just like text and images. So it's like, let's do a webinar sign up, but let's do it via chat, okay? And so here what we're doing is we're sending an image. You just click the image button. We're sending some text. You just click the text button and add that content. And when it's sent to the users, it shows up in Messenger, like an image and some text, and it's pretty straightforward. Where it gets more interesting is that there's some kind of exotic static content that you can send. So like videos, if you want to embed videos, you can send them videos. There's PDF attachments like gift cards. If you want to send to them directly, go ahead. Like PowerPoint presentations, send the content to the user via chat. But this is all static content. Question is what about dynamic chat elements? Like how do we collect data, like sign up for the webinar registration? So it's like we need their I don't know, their email address and maybe the what event do they want to show up for, the 9 o'clock showing or the 11 o'clock showing? Okay, so that's where you start adding dynamic elements into the content. It's kind of like building a website, actually, like a kind of mini website. Basically, here's a form or questions, basically, and the form just says like, so choose a time, and then we're just going to have like multiple choice. They can have to choose from 9 a.m., noon, or 3 p.m. And then the next question could be a text input question where we just say, can I get your email address? And we could save that data into a variable, which we could use later and send that to Zoom or to GoToMeeting or whatever webinar platform you're using to register the registration. This is what that looks like. It's pretty cool. The content just shows up in the chat, and it's dynamic. So now they're kind of engaging with that content, and basically, the key here is that by asking the users questions, you can really figure out like who they really are. So in advertising, like Facebook ads, you're kind of guessing. You're saying like, I think that I'm targeting people who have this interest in in-house marketing, okay? But you don't really know. That's just based off of like Facebook likes and stuff like that. In conversational marketing, the difference is that you actually know with certainty kind of what their interests are, or because you're asking them and they're volunteering the definitive answers. And so once you get into the habit of doing this kind of segmentation of users, what you can do is you can send people down different messaging dialogues. Okay, so if someone says they're an agency, well, then the follow-up question should be like, how many clients do you manage, right? As opposed to if they identify as an in-house advertiser, you should be asking them sort of like, well, what's your primary marketing objective? Is it lead gen or e-commerce? So this is a level of customization and lead qualification and kind of content marketing that was just so dynamic and so engaging, and it's just never been possible before. Like if you think about like Facebook advertising, we just send them to a sort of a landing page that's not dynamic. It's just the same offer for everyone, and here we can really kind of customize the pitch to really resonate with their interests and demographics. So the way that you do this is so one of the really cool things about this is that you can create audiences, custom audiences based on conversational criteria. So the people who said they were agencies, I'd like to turn them into a custom audience. And once you have that custom audience, you can do two things. You can create custom lists of people so that we can send them future chat blasts, like this is for the agency people. They said like, hey Larry, we're doing a special event just for agency marketers like you, because I know that you're an agency marketer, and I can send them this chat blast just to that list. And this thing had a 85% click rate because it was just so relevant to these people's identities. the other thing you can do is you can take these lists of people based on conversational criteria. You can upload them to Facebook as custom audiences. So you can do like remarketing and retargeting ads to people based on kind of their interests. In terms of um, uh, the kind of the conversation criteria, there's you can pre-fill the buttons with their email addresses and their location and their uh, phone numbers and all this stuff, because it's clunky to be typing up all that information from a mobile phone. So we can just pre-fill it, and another topic we need to talk a little bit about is just how do users navigate your chat experience. And there's two ways of doing this. There's button-based navigation, and there's natural language processing. Someone was asking me about earlier. Stephanie is asking, does Mobile Monkey use natural language processing? Absolutely. So basically, Jesus, I just sorry, I quit. The button-based navigation. So this is button-based navigation. It's very straightforward. It's like a phone tree. When you call to Home Depot, it says like press 1 for sales, press 2 for service, etc. This is kind of the equivalent in chat, where it's like choose from an option below, and there's a menu of a couple of buttons that you can press. The pros here are that it's super easy to implement, and I like that it gives users a very clear understanding of the capabilities of this chatbot. There's only 3 things you can do here, and it makes that very clear. A natural language processing chatbot, that's kind of like Siri or Google Home or Alexa, where it just says like, how can I help you today? It's very open-ended. This is really good if your chatbot does so much stuff that there's not enough room for buttons to list it all out, which is rarely the case. And this is really hard to do well, because normally it's a disaster. Like it's normally like, I don't even think Siri and Google Home are that great. You know what I mean? So like, you have to really work really hard to make this work. So how does that work? What you do is you put triggers on your content. So it's a little, if you've ever done AdWords, like you write ads and then you pick keywords for those ads. When someone does a search for one of the keywords that you're interested in, it shows the ad that you've created, kind of thing. So same idea here. You create content like these dialogues for how to, like webinar sign up page, and then we assign some triggers, some keywords that will trigger this content if somebody asks for it. So let's see how that works in live action here. Someone types, "I'd like to register for the webinar." The chatbot analyzes the intent of the user request. It then says, "Oh, I have this content that's kind of has as a trigger the word webinar." Okay. So it'll then correctly serve the page you've created, and then have people go through that kind of registration process. See how they're signing them up here. So that's how the AI works. It works for like misspellings and plurals and related terms. It's just pretty basic natural language processing. Because a chatbot doesn't intrinsically know everything about your business initially, what you should do periodically is review unanswered questions. So every time the bot doesn't have an answer to one of the questions the user asks, what Mobile Monkey does is it just records the fact that somebody asked this question, can you create an answer for it? So just reviewing all the unanswered questions, you can create content to answer these things. This is kind of funny. How do you know my name? Well, the reason why I know your name is because Facebook gives me a little bit of information about the user so that I can customize the conversation, as opposed to saying, "Hello, visitor." I can say, "Hi, Larry. Thanks for stopping by," that kind of stuff. In terms of like where humans come into this thing, is that you can still jump in and talk to that user. So remember how all these messages are are ending up in your Facebook Messenger, in your Facebook inbox. So like all that's changed is that a bot is like responding to these things automatically. But if you still want to downgrade to the old way of doing things, you can jump in at any time, talking to Jilly here, and just start talking to them by typing in the chat there, in the chat window here. And if you do so, that's called a live operator takeover, that the chatbot will shut itself up. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about tips on how to chat blast like a master blaster. And there's a couple of tips that I have for you here today, because chat blasting, it's really valuable because this is where you're really sending out your blog posts or your information to the customers. One of the neat things that I do is I do drip campaigns. Drip campaigns is like every time I get a new contact or a new opt-in, I'm going to just send them like 10 or 20 messages over the next 1 or 2 days. So in this case, this is like a seven drip tips that I'm going to messages that I'm going to send them, and then sending them a customer service question after 5 days. So so you can create these sequences. It's just kind of like when you sign up for a product online, you usually get a sequence of emails over the next couple of days. I'm just saying you can use Mobile Monkey to create those same drip campaigns, except that it's through Messenger rather than stupid email. And a couple tips on how to be really clever with your bot. Idea number one is to apply the principle of kind of consistency. And so consistency is just like, it's kind of like those therapists where like they just parrot back whatever you say, so it's like, oh, I've got problems with my kid, and then she's like, oh, tell me about the problems with your kid. They just keep parroting them back. So like, think about using that conversational style, which is so effective, into your prompts. So it says, how would you describe yourself? I'm a novice, as it pertains to chatbot marketing. Are you a novice, a fan, or an expert? Okay, so regardless of what the user presses here, I'm going to try to sell them my chatbot marketing course. But the difference is that I'm just asking them to affirm their identity, which allows me to then customize the language that I'm using to be kind of more comfortable to where they're at, and the kind of the things that are likely to resonate with that audience. So like if they're a novice, it says, oh, great news, I have a thing specifically for novices, etc. If it's an expert, it's like, well, check out the advanced, tips and tricks that we have in this masterclass. You see what I'm saying? So this is just a kind of a tactic that you can employ in chatbots that you can't employ in other mediums because they're static. And so I'm just saying that you should take advantage of this. Another crazy example has to do with like making your bot seem more reasonable by making concessions. This is crazy. It's like, I could sell you a chatbot course for $20, okay? Or I could start off by offering a new chatbot training course for $200. And I'm sorry? Yes. Someone is like trying to ask a question or not on mute, or I don't know what's going on. But basically, the idea here is it's anchoring. So like I start the pitch by saying, I got this course for $200. There's 2 buttons. It's like, it's too expensive, or great, I'm in. Like 99.9% of people say this is way too expensive, and then they press that button, and I'm like, yeah, I totally agree. That's too expensive. But what if I gave you a 94% discount code, so it was like $20? And what you've done here is you've got them anchored on 200, and now they think it's $20, and so the bot's being more reasonable, so the user is actually more likely to do the bot a solid by accepting this coupon code because they think that this is a great deal. So these are very tried and true marketing principles that are employed by like salespeople, and they have a psychological basis, like for how they work, and I'm just suggesting that you, as you are creating these dialogues, don't just copy and paste the emails that you're sending out, in email, because that's a totally different medium. What you should be doing is thinking about like, how could we make this more conversational, and how can we create really great experiences that are just not possible on other channels. So chat marketing, it's a really exciting thing, as I'm sure you can tell. I'm really excited about chat marketing and this channel. Question is, how do you grow your contact list? Because chat marketing, it's kind of like not that interesting if you only have like 3 contacts. It's like your mom and your wife or something like that. Like, that's not very interesting. We want to have 1,000 fans or 100,000 fans, or 1,000,000 fans. Like, how do we get people to subscribe to Messenger? It's not the same thing as page fans, by the way. So in the olden days of marketing, what we were trying to do is get people to go to these landing pages so we could have them sign up for something so that I could email them my offers. And later today, that's kind of a new paradigm because email sucks. What we're trying to do is get people to message our business so that they're opting into messaging so that we can send them chat blasts. Basically, uh, uh, what we're not going to do is we're not going to just wait for people to message us. That's ridiculous because that'll take forever. There's different ways to get people to engage with your page and turn them into chat subscribers. And I think that one of the most popular ways of doing this is to attach autoresponders to Facebook posts. I'm sure you've seen these. We call this comment guards. Comment guards, it's just like, it's a post, okay, on your Facebook page, but when people respond to the post, then we can send them a private message where if they engage with that message, they've messaged your page, so they become a subscriber, if that makes sense. So typically what I do is I attach comment guards to my most exciting content where everyone has an opinion that they want to share, or they're happy, or there's some kind of emotional trigger that they want to kind of express some kind of a comment, and that's a great way of converting those people into subscribers. Another idea is to change the content that you're sharing to your users. Instead of just like instead of just announcing stuff like, hey, there's a new blog post here, okay, like, why not ask them, that's not very engaging. Like, why not ask them questions, like quiz questions, like the battle of the English and the math. One rabbit saw 6 elephants while going to the river. Every elephant saw 2 monkeys. Every monkey holds one parrot. How many animals are going to the river? And the idea here is like, just post your answer, and if you post your guess, I will auto reply with you the correct answer as well as an explanation. Okay, so like, do you see how I made this like more interactive here? Because now everyone can guess. There's 57 people guessing here at the bottom. The other thing about this is it's encouraging comments in a kind of a white hat way. Like, I don't. This is not like some stupid giveaway or whatever. Like, this is like a community question, okay? And basically that actually increases the visibility of the posts significantly because that's how the news feed works. It shows stuff that people are commenting on. So how do you set up these comment guards? In MobileMonkey, you just choose the content that you want to send, so that like the sequence of the content, the dialogue that's being the users are kind of interacting with. You specify the frequency cap. That's like, don't send the same message to the person more than once every hour, because like they might engage with the same post, multiple times if it's a live stream post, okay? And then the last thing is which post do you want to apply this to? Are we talking like a catch-all, which means like there's kind of a generic response that I want to send to anyone who messages my page, or do I want to create a specific response to specific pages? This is another way to get contacts. It's to create a landing page. So it's kind of like the old landing pages, except it's so much better. Instead of having this crappy, form where you get people to type all this crap, which takes forever, you can just replace it with a button. And once they click that button, all the contact information, like the first name, last name, gender, location, time zone, profile photo, all that information, as well as messaging permissions, are sent to the company automatically, and I think that's more user-friendly. Another crazy way of doing this is doing website chat. So there's a messenger chat where you can insert this to your website, and anyone who engages with this thing with this kind of chat window becomes a becomes a contact, which you could then add to your contact list. There's other things that, like check boxes where you get people to opt into messaging, if they click the button. Wherever I ask people to give me their email, I also ask them to give me messaging permissions using that checkbox, because I think the messenger permissions is like, 100 times more valuable, because they're just that much more likely to see and engage with that same content. There is another cool thing that you can do. It's called Facebook Messenger ads. Facebook Messenger ads, it's pretty new. It's about a year old. Um, Honestly, Facebook ads are very expensive today. In the last 6 years, the CPMs for the demographics that I target have gone from about $1 per 1,000 impressions to about $100 per impression. So it's gotten very expensive. You kind of need to change the strategies to still work in this kind of environment, expensive environment. So more or less, I don't do a lot of Facebook advertising, but when I do Facebook advertising, I use this thing called a send to messenger ad. So it's the same kind of ad that shows up in a news feed, but instead of a button that that says like visit page, like where you click on that button and it goes to a web page, this button, this type of ad, messenger ad, it sends a message to your chat inbox, which allows you to capture the contact information for everyone who clicks on that button, as well as gives you messaging permissions. So it's kind of like a magical ad format that gives you 100% conversion rate. Normally, if you're just sending traffic to your website, you're paying $3, $4, $5 for those clicks. They go for your website, and maybe like 2 or 3% of the people who visit your website end up filling out their forms and signing up for whatever it was you're hoping for them to sign up for. Messenger ads, I think it's way better, because this kind of horrible step of the website conversion with 2% is eliminated, and people who click on the ads immediately, you get all their information, as well as ability to do push notifications. And so, I do a lot of webinars and stuff like this. I can get leads for my webinars at $3 to $5 per lead. I think that's really interesting, because if I try doing that with just regular click campaigns, it's like $300-400 a lead, which is that's not going to work. And so it's kind of like lead ads, like where you click the button, you get their contact information, but with messenger ads, I can do push notifications because I've got messaging permissions. I can send them down those interactive funnels, whereas like, are you an agency, or I can qualify them in real time. Whereas lead ads, they just end up being sent to some CRM dumping ground where, maybe next week someone will get back to you, or maybe never. So those are kind of the hacks that I'm really excited about. My top 5 Facebook Messenger marketing chatbot hacks of all time. This is kind of what we were talking about today, chat blasting and building those interactive bot experiences, and generating contacts for your list, and then using Facebook ads to build the the contact list. What does it all mean? Where does this leave us? Guys, thank you for joining me on this amazing journey from donkey land to unicorn land, in just 30 minutes. When I think about chatbots, I think of this as top of the funnel stuff. Like, this is for lead gen, this is for lead qualification, this is for marketing automation, like drip campaigns. It's for online advertising. This is really important stuff for social media marketers to build the same kind of brand awareness and leads that we would traditionally do through, I don't know, Facebook ads or organic news posts. You can do this more effectively and at higher engagement rates, like significantly higher engagement rates and less cost using chatbots. I think that you should start today. The thing about messaging is that people already overwhelmingly prefer messaging as their preferred communication platform. So this this is a generational shift in communication communication preferences. People, the last time we saw this was like 25 years ago, when people started saying, like, I actually prefer email than phone calls, right? So this is a profound generational shift, and businesses need to adapt the way that they're doing marketing to kind of connect with users in the platforms that they're communicating in. Yeah, so that's basically my presentation today. I'm going to go through some of the questions, but uh, feel free to type in stuff there. One question from Chrissy, I don't know the answer. It's just, I love this. I want to watch the whole thing, but I have a meeting in a few minutes. I got to run. I've recently started using Mobile Monkey this week, and I'm loving it. So I guess one question is, where can I get the replay? I believe that the admins are adding this to the group. So thank you, Chrissy. Uh, Eugene, sorry, Jenny is saying, I love this. Thank you, Jenny. Stephanie is asking, how does it work with GDPR? So I can show you something here. In terms of the contacts that you're generating here, the GDPR says a couple things. One of them is like you have this right to be forgotten. So like this person, I don't know, Randall Neeson, like, so I can delete this guy. Like if he says, I have the right to be forgotten, please delete all my contact information, and he emails that to you, then you have to delete them, okay? So that's like, they disappear. The other thing is, it's mostly handled by Facebook. Like Facebook doesn't allow you to message people who haven't opted into receiving those messages. Facebook requires that you honor the unsubscribes, and the way that someone unsubscribes is just by typing stop, in response to a chat, and that will get people out of there. So it's like kind of, those are the keys of GDPR. It's like, make sure that they know that they're subscribing, make sure you honor their unsubscribes, make sure you delete their contacts information if they ask for that, etc. Does the contact information include email address? So that's a question from Samantha. So first of all, it's kind of funny that you're asking that, because it's kind of like building a rocket ship and taking it into the past, because if you have their email address, then you're basically substituting a high engagement way of reaching them with like 70 or 80% probability to a low engagement way of communicating with them with 5 or 10% open rates. But that, nevertheless, you can definitely get their email address. So it's not included with the contact detail information that's sent out automatically, which is first name, last name, gender, location, language, time zone, and profile photo. That's kind of the bare bones information. What you need to do is you need to ask them for their email address. So like one little trick is you could send them a message, is, just say, hey, just in case we get disconnected, can I get your email address? And you can, in these dialogues, we can just create some content here that automatically asks for that information, by you see how it says like, what's your email address? You can set the input type to be email, okay? And so when you see that message, I'm just previewing so you can see what that looks like. And it just says, hey, Larry, thanks for stopping by. What's your email address? Don't laugh. I actually have a Yahoo address. This is from like, like 20 years ago. But basically, it pre-fills my Facebook login data here. And if I click this button, it's releasing that information to the user, asking now what's the best phone number to reach you at. And maybe I shouldn't be giving out my phone number, but that's my Facebook password recovery phone number that's on file. So it knows my phone number. If I click this button, it's sending it to the user. So that's kind of how you would go from a chat contact to getting them to pre-fill their phone number and an email. Again, I kind of prefer you go the opposite direction, where you take people's emails and convert them into chat contacts, but nevertheless, that's how you would do it. Let's see here. So another question from Amy, it's like, are there any video trainings to get started on this stuff? And basically, my colleague and I created this Chatbot Masterclass. It's right here. If you go to Mobile Monkey, and go to Learn here, where it says Learn, the first one here is called a Chatbot Masterclass. Okay, so this is a but 10 or 11 hour training class that goes through like absolutely everything you need to do to decide to go through all those steps of every single widget, every single rule and strategy that you could ever think of on chatbot marketing. I think this is like, if you spent like 12 hours 10 years ago to learn how to do Facebook ads, that would have been very valuable for your career, because Facebook ads are very, very important today, and have been for the last decade. So same idea here. If you learn how to do chatbot marketing here, I think this is a very valuable skill that will serve you well for the next decade. This particular course is not free. It's like 19 bucks or something like that, as you saw in the in some of the examples I was showing you. It's like, you want to get it for 200 bucks? No? Okay, well, here's a coupon. So we do sell it for 20 bucks, but totally worth it, and includes a kind of a special offer on a I think it's a Mobile Monkey subscription for several months for like $4. Okay, so look, time is 2:46. I was told to try to make this roughly 30 to 45 minutes, 30 to 60 minutes. So we can wrap this up today. I just want to thank Rachel and her group and her team for the opportunity to meet with you today. I think she's a fantastic marketer, and she really knows her stuff, and it's just a really great community. So such an honor to have an opportunity to even talk to you about chat marketing, and hope that was useful. You can connect with me at mobilemonkey.com. Just reach out there if you have any questions. This is Larry Kim. We're signing off, and I'm not even the organizer of this meeting. Is there any way to end the broadcast here?
Yeah, I can do that. Don't worry about it. Thank you, Larry Kim, so much. I know that this has been a great value to everyone who's on, and it's been recorded, and we'll upload it to the community as well. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thanks.